Good evening, everyone. My name is Zoe, and this is Walking with Spirits. So, what I do is I go to places in my local area, usually, and I try and connect with spirit and see if they can tell us any of the history of the area. And then I come home and research it and see if I'm right, basically. If I'm not, I do still tell you. I'm not one of these that try and make out like fantastic when sometimes I get it wrong. So today I'm going to be talking about my time in Durham. Even though I live really close to Durham City itself, I don't spend a lot of time there, mostly because I'm the only driver and I hate driving in Durham, not even going to lie to you. So I went on the 13th of March, so it was a while ago now, and the things that I seen in Durham, honestly, I didn't know that Durham had such a dark history behind it, but yet, here I am telling you this. So, the first thing that I noticed was I was really drawn to the market square, which is called Marketplace. So I sat on one of the concrete seats outside of Marketplace. I was facing the market hall and the town hall. Okay, so I'm sitting and all of a sudden I'm getting this smell and I'm like, oh, what is that? What's that smell? It smells like smoke. Now I look at my friend because I'm like, are you smoking? No. And I keep on looking around to see if there's anybody else smoking, because I mean, people do you know? It could have just been somebody walking past and I got a whiff of it. Nope. So I start cheering in a little bit further. All of a sudden, in my vision, it just totally changes and the whole of Marketplace is an absolute chaos. There's people running from buildings, there's people running from the market stalls, and there's all screaming, there's a fire, there's a fire, there's a fire. So I turn into this little boy. Now he was telling us that he kept on telling me the number 6 and the number 16, and I was like, okay, so that was quite a while ago. I was getting the date as 1906, however the actual date of the big fire in Durham City was 1909. I'm not sure if the little boy was trying to tell me that he was 6 until I researched deeper. Now the actual date of that fire was the 17th of June. So that was where I was getting the 6 from. And I was a day, if that was the date, I was a day out. And I was 3 years out with the year. Now for my first time doing something like this, I wouldn't say that was bad going at all. It could have been recorded slightly wrong. It could have been in the middle of the night of the 16th going into the 17th, and that's what the little boy's telling us. I'm not sure. I didn't look that far into it. So that was the first thing that I'd seen. So after all this fire and stuff died down, I felt like I was being led up Sadler Street, which is one of the main streets. And I kept on hearing, go to the church. And I thought, no, that's the cathedral. I know that there's an event on at that cathedral tonight, because there were other people that I'd travelled to Durham with. They were going to that event. So I thought, no, I'm not. I'm too socially anxious for that. Anyway. So we're still sitting in the town square and I'm looking at the market. So there's the indoor market, which was part of the old prison, I want to say. And there was also the town hall right next to it. Now on the town hall there is hanging baskets over the top of the balcony. Look beautiful, absolutely stunning. Until I looked at them further and noticed that they turned from beautiful hanging baskets, and literally as the words left my mouth to my friend, I'd said, I bet they look beautiful in the summer. and they just changed straight away, and it was like severed heads that I could see, and I was like, oh my god, what happened here? Now, I didn't actually get any connection from that. I just kept on seeing these heads dotted all around Durham City Centre, and I was like, what an odd thing to see. And then I got home and researched it. Now, this was the severed heads of Scottish men who had, I mean, Durham's been they've tried to take over Durham loads and loads of times, especially the Scottish people. I don't know what their issue is, to be totally honest. So I'm sure the one where they'd hung their heads, I'm sure that was in 1006, I want to say. Yes, 1006. So when Durham defeated the Scottish, what they done was they severed the soldiers' heads and hung them all over the marketplace. There was ones in the marketplace, ones up on Palace Green, up around the cathedral, all over the city walls. They were everywhere. Heads, Scottish heads, beautiful, lovely, if you like that sort of thing. And then I thought, oh, I've had enough of this now. Let's go and have a little bit of a wander about. Now, I thought I was wandering around aimlessly until I came over a certain bridge. So the next part I'm going to tell you about is a certain bridge, which has a hell of a lot of history behind it. But I'm not going to talk about all of the history in this video, just one certain part of history. Now, the bridge that I walked over was called Old Elvet Bridge. Old Elvet Bridge, I got such a weird sensation on that bridge. I didn't spend too long there, but I did get this overwhelming sense of calmness and acceptance going over this bridge. Now, the reason why I was getting that was because a lot of prisoners would come over Elvet Bridge up to the courthouse, which I'm also going to talk about. They would go over the bridge up to the courthouse, and that's where they would either be imprisoned, like sent off to a different prison after their court date, or they would be hanged. So I couldn't quite understand at first why I was getting this really overwhelming sense of, right, this is my fate. And then I was sat on the, I wasn't sat on the bridge, sorry, I was stood on the bridge. And there was people coming and going. It was a Friday evening. It was quite busy. There was music playing from the bars next to the bridge and all the rest of it. And I just looked over the edge of the bridge and thought, I need to jump. It'll all be okay if I jump. So when I dived a little bit deeper, I did find out a little bit of history about a woman that I was connected to at that time. Now this is a woman called Lily. A lot of people think that she's just some kind of urban myth. I can guarantee you that Lily is not an urban myth, and her story is really sad. She was a young girl, I'm going to say around the age of 17-year-old. Now Lily was, shall we say, a lady of the night. That's the only way I can describe her politely. Now since this encounter, I've not been able to stop thinking about Lily. So I think I might have to go back and find out what went on that night with her. But what I got from when I was connected to her on this night was, like I say, she was a lady of the night. She was 17-year-old. She got herself into an awful situation. Terrible situation, really. She didn't say what the situation was. But Lily felt like her only way out was to jump from Elvet Bridge. And that's what she did. And I just kept on thinking, God, you poor girl, if only there was somebody that could have helped you, somebody that could have helped you get out of that situation. But unfortunately, nobody came. Nobody wanted to know what was happening with Lily or what went on that day. And I think that's really sad. So I think next time I do Durham, because I did miss a lot of it, I'm not going to lie, I missed out a lot of it because of the time of day it was and because I knew that there was events and stuff going on. But yeah, I think I do need to go back and connect further with Lily and connect further with maybe a couple of the spirits that are still on Old Elvet Bridge. So I went from over Old Elvet Bridge, and then I continued on up the path. And I came to this gorgeous little church called Old Elvet Methodist Church. I think it's a Methodist church. Yes. So I decide with my friend that we're going to sit in the little garden bit at the front of the church. And I keep on hearing the word refuge, safety. Now, the history of Durham is so strange because even though they like to keep enemies and stuff out, they also took in a lot of people that were travelling or felt like they didn't have anywhere else to go. They would travel to Durham and Durham would give them a safe haven, a refuge, a place of refuge, basically. And I was sitting in this little churchyard, and over the road there's a big hotel which I now know is the Marriott, the Royal Marriott Hotel. Now from what I could see, there was 3 floors to this hotel, and on the middle floor, right at the end, I could see somebody looking through the window at me, and I thought, Are you really there? They were not really there. I didn't necessarily get anything dark from this person, but I did get a sense of, am I safe here? Yes, they would have been safe there. So I was sitting there for quite a while, but I didn't really pick up much else from the Old Elvet Methodist Church. So I came out of the churchyard and continued on up the bank. Now at the top of that bank is a pub called the Dun Cow. I was told before I went to go inside of the Dun Cow, I decided that I was not going in that pub. Definitely not. Not on a Friday night. Would not go in. And I did not know why I would not go in that pub. I wasn't even on the right side of the road. I was on the opposite side of the road. And I was looking at the Dun Cow pub. And again, I can see a man stood, all in black, just stood staring. And I'd said to my friend, there's a way, we're going. I'm not staying to connect to him and find out what his story is. No way. So, we continued a little bit further up the bank and we came to this massive building. Massive, it's huge. And I thought, oh, what's that? Oh, there's people like walking past and stuff. Let's go and have a look and see where it is. I was stood in the car park of this building, right in front of the big doors. That building is the courthouse. Okay, so I'm stood in the car park, looking up the doors. I turn around to face the Dun Cow pub and the houses on the opposite side, and I just feel like I'm being choked really, really badly. I can't breathe. I can't see properly. I don't know what's going on. I'm just gasping for breath. And my friend's saying, oh my God, we need to move away. So we moved away straight away from that area. Now, as I was talking, gasping for air, I can still see multiple people now, multiple people dressed in I want to say late 1800s to early 1900s style clothing, all stood cheering, and I'm like, I'm dying? What is all cheering for? So anyway, we moved away from that area, and I thought, I never want to go back to that building again. We didn't know what the building was until I researched it. That building is the courthouse. That building is still open to this day, and I'm telling you, I'm in two minds whether to go in that building. It was an awful experience, but I did find out that the man that would hang you used to drink in the Dun Cow pub, and he would stand in the top window of the Dun Cow pub and wait for his prisoner to get ready and get the noose round their neck. He would come over the road from the Dun Cow, hang you, wait until you died, then he would uncut you, take a piece of the rope that he used to hang you, take it back over the Dun Cow pub and sell it. And I don't know how I feel about that experience, I'm not going to lie. So that was me time at the courthouse. I moved on from the courthouse. We went down past the old police station, back down round towards Elbert Road, went back down over Elbert Bridge, and ended up walking up Sadler Street. And I was thinking, why am I walking up here? I know that at the top of here is the cathedral. Why am I walking round here? And I keep on hearing a man saying, go to Drury Lane, go to Drury Lane. And then a woman saying, no, don't go to Drury Lane. It's a trap. It's going to absolutely terrify you if you go down there. And I thought, Drury Lane? It's a weird name. I'm sure I've heard of a Drury Lane before. Now, Durham's Drury Lane is named after London's Drury Lane, which has the famous nursery rhyme, The Muffin Man is named after the one in London. So I'm walking up Sadler Street and I am frantically looking for Drury Lane and I cannot find it for loving them. Now, Drury Lane is got all sorts of history behind it. But this man kept on telling me, go to Drury Lane, go to Drury Lane. And this woman was telling me, no, please don't. It's an awful place, you'll not like it. It's a trap. So I decided to listen to the woman in this situation. Always listen to the woman. And I didn't go up Drury Lane. Mostly because I couldn't find it. I was frantically looking for Drury Lane, couldn't find it. And I thought, it's probably for the best. So I am going to go back to Drury Lane at some point during the day. I'm not doing it at night. But when I heard about what happened in Drury Lane, it shook me to my core. Now, the spirits that I'd connected to in regards to Drury Lane didn't give me much information at all. They didn't tell us who they were, how old they were, what year it was, anything like that. I just got told by one of them, go down Drury Lane. The other one, didn't. It's not worth it. This is right, okay then. So Drury Lane was the kind of place that used to have babysitters. Now, it was the sort of place where people, probably very much like myself for back in the day, who didn't have a lot of money and probably one too many children to look after. Now, what would happen is they would drop their children off at daycare centres at Drury Lane, and some of these children would just vanish, disappear into the day or night, depending on what shift you were on, I suppose. But of course, because there were poor people, nobody really done anything in regards to these children. It was just the way it was. There was all sorts of stuff happened down that lane. it's awful to think about, really. I mean, I keep on saying that I might go back. Yeah, I am. I am going back. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that I might not. I definitely am at some point. So this is why I was being led to Drury Lane. Now, I walked up to the top where the cathedral is, and then walked behind the cathedral. And I was sat at the back of the cathedral, and I thought, this is a really old street. What street is this? And my friend said, Zoe, this is Duncow Lane. And I said, what? So the pub that I was saying I didn't want to go into was also called the Duncow Pub. Duncow Lane has the name Duncow Lane because they say that monks were led by a cow to Durham Cathedral. They were travelling from somewhere else. I'm not sure where it was, but they ended up naming that street Duncow Lane to mark that. And we were sat outside of the cathedral, round the back, and I was swinging my legs like a little kid because me and my friend are quite short, I'm not gonna lie, and the wall's quite high in them for them days. So we were sitting on the wall, swinging our legs, and all of a sudden my friend turned and looked at us, and she had this look on her face. She's not spiritual at all, by the way. I said, what's the matter with you? Have you getting an itchy leg? And I said, as if there's rats running over your legs. Durham used to be infested with rats. It was filthy. It was one of the muckiest cities in the UK by the sounds of it. Back in the day. I'm going to say medieval times. So I thought, no, what? I mean, where we were sitting, there was like the wall where we were sitting, and then like a gutter, basically. We had our feet in the gutter, alright, where all the would have been. So I thought, nah, we're going. So I walked back down to the marketplace. Marketplace. And I'm sat there again, and I'm trying to connect again. And I thought, I want to go down that alleyway. So in between, I was sat right in the same seat outside of the market hall for the indoor market. There's the town hall, then there's like a little alleyway, and then there's St. Nicholas's Church. Now in between the church and the town hall, there's, like I said, there's an alleyway. And I thought, I want to go down there. And I was saying to my friend, I want to go down there. And she said, you're not, it's a Friday night. It's getting late now. You're not going down there. And I'm certainly not coming with you. She's a bit boring sometimes. Anyway, I thought, okay, then we'll leave it. And when I researched that alley, that would have been the alley that was connected to all of the poor houses and stuff around the back of it. So whatever spirit was connected to me in that moment, they were obviously being like, come on, poor person, get yourself away to the poor house. The cheeky buggers. I was livid when I found out. We could have also been led down there because obviously we were two young women walking around in Durham City on a Friday night, unescorted, like a pair of ladies of the night. So there was also that too. It could have been just a spirit connecting, because I feel like a lot of things do go on down that alley still to this day. Awful things, you know. So we decided that we weren't going to do that. And that was pretty much it for Durham. The next place that I'm going to be talking about is Hartlepool Headland. Again, absolutely dripping with history. I got very close with dates in the Hartlepool Headland, and I also got a couple of names as well. Like I said, the only name that I really got from Durham was the lovely Lily. I will be going back to see if I can connect to her again and see if we can find out any more about her. But if you have any ideas on where I can go, preferably during the day. I mean, if somewhere's haunted, I'm going to get something whether it's day or night. In my opinion, I'm not a paranormal investigator. I'm a medium. There is a slight difference. So if you know of anywhere where I might be able to pick up on something, or somewhere that's got really rich history, please let us know in the comments, and I will see you all on Wednesday evening again, and we will talk about the lovely Hartlepool Headland. Have a wonderful night.